Ladies and gentlemen from around the world, my name is Dr. Tuffnart and welcome back to the Brief Vapes channel. I'm going to record this video and release it at a later date, simply because I know there's going to be no backlog at all over the next coming weeks. I'm going back to work, I've got a lot of things planned, and I know I'm not going to be able to do a video for quite a while, so I thought I'd do a topical one, and more of a discussion than anything specific in terms of product reviews or anything like that. So let me have a vape and we'll get started here. So on May 20th of this year, it's currently 12th of August, I had to check that, should have been something I'd done beforehand, but I didn't. May 20th of this year, the TPD, the Tobacco Products Directive in this country, decided to install a number of regulations here in the UK and across the EU in terms of how vaping and how we as how the industry of vaping distributes its products and how we as consumers can buy those products. And it basically limited, for any of you who don't know, it limited the availability of certain products and flat out illegalised a lot of products. For instance, I've got a list here. So first off, maximum refill containers cannot exceed 10 millilitres. So by that it means that whereas before you might have been able to buy a 30 millilitre bottle of e-liquid, you can now only buy 10 millilitre bottles or 30 millilitre batches. So 3 10 millilitre bottles of e-liquid, and basically it's just a pain. That's just a pain in general, and that's something that has continued. That law has been something that has been instituted and has stayed. Every vape shop I've been in since May 20th has restocked their shelves with these 10 millilitre batches of e-liquid. That's something that definitely has impacted everyone as vapers, and has probably encouraged a lot of people to make their own e-liquid, I think. So it's not very good for juice companies at all, and that's a big shame. The next one is a maximum nicotine strength of 20 milligrams, and this means that so whereas before, I think the highest I'd ever seen nicotine being distributed as the highest strength nicotine e-liquid you could buy was 32. I think I could be wrong there, and I'm totally prepared to be wrong. So if you know I am, point it out in the comments below. So now, basically, the highest strength e-liquid you can buy is 20 milligrams, which is more than enough, I think, for someone who's trying to come off cigarettes. But I don't know. I can't talk from experience there. I went straight onto 3 milligrams after smoking, and that did me fine. But there might be people who struggled more and needed that higher strength nicotine, so you'd have to refer to them on that. Maximum tank capacity of 2 millilitres. This is something that I thought would hit really, really, really hard here in the UK and across Europe. 2 millilitres, the way that the industry was going prior to the TPD regulations kicking in, people wanted more clouds and bigger capacity. That's what people wanted. They wanted big, huge, thick coils with a number of coil heads inside to produce vastly more vapour. Is that a term? Yeah. A lot more vapour, basically. And for that, obviously, you need bigger tank capacity. And the 2 millilitre capacity limitation, I think, had the potential to hit really hard on the industry. But this is something we'll talk about in a minute. Let's get on to the next thing. Product approvals, packaging requirements, customer notifications and data reporting. So basically higher regulations on people who distribute gear in general, tanks, mods, batteries and e-liquid in general. And this is something I was in favour of. This is one of the things that the TPD did that I thought, yeah, that needs to be done. And if that was there on its own, all this regulation, I think I'd have been a lot more in favour of the TPD in general. There was a lot of shady juice companies out there stealing recipes and fiddling around with chemicals that perhaps shouldn't have been in e-liquid in the first place. So I'm kind of glad that thing's come in, and we always need better battery safety regulations and mod regulations, and not necessarily the tank thing, but yeah. So that's in summary the 4 major things that sort of impacted us the most, or should have done. So I've already talked about the 10 millilitre thing. That's affected us. Everywhere sells the 10 millilitre stuff now. Yeah, that's just a thing, and people have to live with that. They either have to make do with all the tiny little 10 millilitre bottles they're going to have lying around. Incredibly wasteful plastic wise, but anyway, that's a different story. The 20 milligram thing hasn't affected me personally, but probably has, and almost definitely has impacted somebody somewhere who wanted to use vaping as a way to come off cigarettes. Maximum 2 millilitre capacity. This is something that hasn't really had any effect, really, to be quite honest with you. It seems particularly easy to still get. I mean, just yesterday I walked into my brick and mortar, which I'm not going to name, simply because if this video is seen by the appropriate people, then you know it could cause a bit of a hassle for the brick and mortar company in question. But I went into my brick and mortar yesterday, and not just with the iJoy Captain, which is 4 milliliter capacity. There's numerous tanks in there which flout that particular regulation, and even when it's not being openly flouted like that, there are companies like Geek Vape, iJoy, Vandy Vapes in particular, only because they're the products I've been focusing on. They basically include an extension piece for the chimney and a larger piece of glass. So this has been openly flouted, and I'm kind of glad about that, but I don't want these companies to suffer in retrospect when and if they eventually get found out. Is it really? I don't know how you sort of, maybe there is something which allows them to sell these types of tanks. Maybe there's some kind of regulation or loophole in the law which allows them to continue to sell these products. I don't know. I haven't really looked up extensively on it. I'm just giving my overview as a consumer. So yeah, overall, I don't think it's as terrible as we all thought it might have been. Here in the UK and the EU, especially, I can't speak for over in America. I'm not even entirely sure as to whether those laws have come into effect now. I've sort of withdrawn myself from the society and the culture around vaping increasingly recently, just simply because I've had other things to do and I had to focus on other hobbies. That doesn't mean I care any less about the culture or feel any less sympathetic to those who are suffering as a result of these laws that are coming in. But anyway, from my experience personally, and those I've talked to within the UK and the EU, I can't say categorically that this is going to destroy vaping, or has gone in any way, shape or form, taking a step forward to sort of bring the industry to its knees, which I think a lot of us feared was going to happen. That's basically it, guys, really. I just wanted to talk about this, and I think it's good that there's a bit of pushback from us. You know, we're saying, okay, we're not going to settle for these crummy laws, which some of them are crummy. The 2 milliliter tank capacity is entirely useless. It does nothing of any use. I think the 20 milligram nicotine, I mean, I can't see anyone who would even, I don't understand how anyone would vape 20 milligrams of nicotine. It's so harsh on the throat. If you're using a small mouth to lung tank, then maybe, but anyway, that's not for me to comment on. And the 10 milliliter bottles is just incredibly wasteful, in my opinion. It has no benefits whatsoever. If there is any, or you feel there is any, post them in the comments below, and we'll have a discussion about it. But I can't. I think it's incredibly environmentally hostile in terms of how much plastic it uses, and it's just consumer unfriendly as well. Like it's just really silly. And the companies are still selling juice in the quantities they used to. They're just using more bottles to package it in now. So yeah, kind of stupid. That's been the video there, guys. TPD regulations. Maybe I'll do another one of these in another 3 months' time as we sort of progress further and further into this. And there's talk within the government now, as Britain prepares to pull out the EU. There's talk of maybe sort of recalculating and rejigging some of these laws so they're a bit more friendly. That would be one of the few good things to come out of Brexit, in my opinion, but that's, again, off topic entirely. Thank you very much for watching, guys. As I said, this video will probably be up. Although I'm recording it on the same day as my iJoy Captain review, it'll probably go up in a week or so from now. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Good old vaping.